you eventually chose the madman you are to leave Netflix and to start on the new journey of being a wolf pack of one, start streaming. What was that? What was the story of that?
So I was streaming for almost 7 years now. It started actually at Netflix. We did a charity, Extra Life. Shout out to Extra Life for starting my streaming career. Effectively, it's just you stream, and whatever money you raise, it goes to Kids with Cancer Research. They are a great charity in the sense that they take no overhead and they raise their own donations for their website and everything. And so it's like a very great, straightforward charity. Really love like what they've done. It was super cool because I live in South Dakota now, but I actually could choose a hospital directly where the money goes to. So there's like a direct impact from A to B. So it's a pretty cool organization. And so my friend Guy Sereno, nice try guy is what I like to call him. He was probably the single greatest engineer I've ever met in my lifetime. And he was just like, hey, come do this. We're going to all do this. And so I played Fortnite. And so before I did that, I was like, oh, I better learn how to stream first. I better get, affiliated so I can like take subscriptions. And then if anyone gives me a subscription, I'll also pay that forward. And so June 2018 or something like that, I start streaming, and I start streaming some Fortnite, end up getting affiliated, end up doing the whole Extra Life thing. I end up really enjoying it. I'm like, this is a lot of fun. I'm playing Fortnite at that point. Okay. So mind you, I'm a Fortnite streamer at that point. And I start really enjoying it, and I keep doing it. And then one day I decide I'm going to do some programming because I really love Vim, and I think I'm kind of fast at Vim, and maybe people think programming is kind of cool because there was no really programming section at that point. And I did it, and I had like 30 people show up, which was just like, and it felt like incredible numbers at that point. So I was like, oh my gosh, there's like 30 people watching me program. And so it just kept on going, and it kept on happening, and it just kept on growing. And I did it for year after year. I would do my job. I would come home. I'd eat dinner with the kiddos. I would read them Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit during that time. I'd read to them for a half an hour, then I'd set that down, and then 3 nights a week, I would program until like 2 a.m. or play video games until 2 a.m, streaming and building up this like whole side thing. And I did this for a long, long time. And then eventually it just kept working out so well, and I started making YouTube videos, and then that started getting better. And it was just like a long, long grind until April of last year. I went to the Streamer Awards, and I got to like announce the programming category, and Pirate Software won. It was awesome. It was a great time. And during that time, he gave me a challenge coin and just said, like, you just got to go for it. Just go full time. And so I just sat there, and my wife can attest to it. It was kind of like an emotional turmoil thing. And it just took a lot of, it was pretty awful, because I didn't, Netflix is a very safe option. It was both very fun. It was challenging. I liked a lot of the people I worked with. It was overall a really great thing. I had a really great boss. Really appreciated him. I still ever text him now and then. He's a really great guy. So it's just like, I'm leaving all these things for something that's unsure. And the reality is that streaming and all these things, people love you one day, they could hate you the next day. There's like all this stuff that goes into being on the public side. And I had Netflix as the backing. So it's like, if public hated me the next day, I'd be like, deuces, I'm out. Like, I don't care. Now it's like, now I'm going to do this as a job. And so there's like a whole huge turmoil to this whole thing that kind of went through it. And eventually I just said, okay, I'm going to make this, it resonated with me when I first made the decision to join Netflix. I'm getting older. There's not a lot of chances to do something unusual. Like that, those chances go down constantly as you get older. This might be the last crazy thing I get to do. Let's just try it. So in April, I went full time, and I guess I haven't looked back. I'm only not even a year into doing this as a full-time gig. And it's just been a lot of fun. And the biggest thing is just being able to really explore and do these things on stream where people really enjoy watching and engaging it's been a great, hard, fun, amazing, difficult experience.
I mean, it's a really inspiring leap. It's a really hard one to take for many reasons like you outlined, but also like the loneliness of it. I think it's a pretty lonely pursuit.
It is, yeah.
Just you and the camera and the audience and the ups and downs of that. And there's not really a team.
I do have one lucky thing I'd say that my editor Flip, shout out Flip, he said it would mean the world to him if I said shout out Flip. But
well, I love you, Flip.
I love you, Flip.
We all love you.
Oh man, he had as he would say, he had nothing going for him. He had a really hard growing up. A lot of rough life decisions have gone into his life, and he's kind of crawling back out of it. And he just said, hey, I will edit full time for you. So I just said, all right, like 50-50, whatever I make on YouTube, you get, we're going to do this together. And we did that for years, making $0 a month pretty much, And so it's just like, that was an incredible jump. And now like we get to work together. So that I do get that one team aspect that I think is really nice, but it's not like it was at Netflix where I could hear about stuff people are building. I don't have a team. I don't have like product or cycles. I don't have a manager that I have to try to make happy. It's just like, it is very lonely. And I don't think a lot of people realize how lonely it actually can be.
Yeah. So combine that loneliness with, in my case, I don't know how many people attack you. I
have a shockingly low amount of attack rate, I feel like.
Yeah. People generally, I mean, it's sometimes fun sort of teasing that kind of thing, but it's mostly just really, I mean, you give so much love to the world and inspire so many people, even when you're like making fun of stuff. Yeah. But with me, sort of taking the loneliness of it combined with just really intense attacks, it's tough. It can be rough. Psychologically, really a tough journey. You miss working with a team? Just from even a software engineering side, like where you can share code or talk over code or sort of, the collaborative aspect of it.
Yeah, multiple things there. One, hey, we love you, Lex. So don't let the things get you down.
No, thank you.
But
thank you. I love you too.
Thank you. Hey, little bonding moment here going on. Yeah. But one thing I really miss,
not in a sexual way, just to be clear.
The tension is a little tense here.
I'm getting uncomfortable. But anyway, team.
It's just the one thing I really miss is just even when I hated how people did it, just seeing how other people solved things. Right? Like it's really amazing just like the raw creative power so many people have, and just being like, oh wow, like I would have never done it this way. Crazy, right? Like, oh, wow, this is awesome. And then you kind of internally process this and you're like, oh, I now have a new little tool in my tool belt. Yeah. Because at some point it's really hard to find a mentor. When you're first young and you're just starting out programming, I mean, anyone with a couple years of experience will be not just a little bit better than you, but like infinitely better than you. It's like, it feels like crazy how much better people are. And so you have to like get mentors and you learn from people. And then as you get better, that amount of availability gets really small. And so it's something that I really do miss is the kind of like forced hard problem solving together.
I think there's also a skill to sort of mining the wisdom from other people. Like I generally try to approach even like junior people, young folks, it's just mentally, at least for me, it works as a hack to assume they're like the smartest person in the world, like way smarter than me. And so like I take every single word they say as potential wisdom. And that helps me sort of mine for potential wisdom there. Because it's so easy as you get older to sort of judge, to be like, oh yeah, okay, I've been through that. I remember feeling like that. I remember thinking that's incorrect, whatever. But just kind of assume that that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, and the other person is this like sage. And from that, in that kind of interaction, I think you could actually learn a lot. And my favorite interactions is when we both think that way. And so we're that from there, I think that's a catalyst for a great collaboration and interaction.
It just also makes everything much nicer. It really stinks to work with someone that's combative and negative. Like I don't mind combativeness if it's like I'm trying to figure out what's best to do right now, versus combativeness just because you're a negative person and things have to be this one particular way, because if they're not this one particular way, it's the end of the world. And like that's actually really hard for me to work with.
What's the origin story of the Primeagen name?
The origin story of the Primeagen name was, are you familiar with a video game called Turok? Nintendo 64. Yeah. So Turok had Turok 1 and then Turok 2. Turok 2 was a brutally hard game. This is back when first-person shooters, they would only give you a certain amount of health and you had to go discover health. And get that health, and you had to beat the whole game without effectively dying. That's like the first version right there. That's like Turok 1, then Turok 2.
Turok is a renowned first-person shooter video game series featuring dinosaurs, action, and sci-fi elements. The franchise has evolved significantly since its inception in 1997.
Yep, there you go. So in 1998, there you can see it right there.
Turok 2, Seed of Evil, followed in 1998, featuring larger levels, more challenging puzzles, and deadlier enemies.
The notable difficulty, it was very, very, very difficult.
Okay.
And so I spent, when I got it, it came in a black cartridge, not like your standard gray Nintendo 64, the black cartridge.
Oh, nice.
It was a badass game, right? And I got it, and I put it in, and I played every day for like 10 hours a day for a month straight, and I beat it. And it was like such an incredible, great experience. And the last leader of Turok 2 is called ThePrimeagen. And so when I was a kid, when you're in like 5th grade, that's like super cool, like named after the bad guy. And so like for a long time on any internet thing like Grail Online that I mentioned earlier, the name was ThePrimeagen. It was great. And then, I became an adult eventually, and it's just like, okay, I'm an adult. My name is Michael Paulson _
Yeah.
That's what I was on the internet for a long time, was that. And I remember it was like 2017, 2018, somewhere in there. I remember just how bad the tech world had kind of become. It was just like this super pretentious place, tons of dick measuring, just everything that just was the worst. Ken Wheeler got canceled over playing the circle game. It was just like, it's so hard to describe to people that weren't there, but it was just the worst place to be. Tech was extremely unfun. It was extremely awful. Everything was just it wasn't academic because it was research. It was like, we're building the most sophisticated things, and this is for the smart people, and everyone else is the dumb people. Don't worry, we'll design for you, dummy. We got that. We'll show you how to make the perfect architecture. And I remember changing my Twitter handle because I got so upset and just went back to my video game name because I was like, I want things to be fun. I want this to stop. And so when I started streaming tech, my goal became to destroy whatever that tech mentality was, because it includes nobody. Everyone thinks that they're the smart people and they design for the dummies. And it's just like, no. Like, I want tech to be this place where people feel like they can be creative and excited and actually build something. And if you're new, like, it's okay to be dumb and ask dumb questions. Like, learn from your dumbness. No one's expecting you to be smart. Pick whatever you want. Like, actually do something and have fun and build like your crazy ideas. Oh, you're going to reinvent the wheel? Reinvent the wheel. Understand what you're doing. Learn it really good and like interact and stuff. And it's just so different than what was out there. And that the name, Arnold Schwarzenegger talks about this thing where when he first started acting, his name was like the thing that people hated. As he once said, you have a strange voice, you have a strange body, and your name's unpronounceable. No one's going to, Schneitzenfnitzel, no one's going to remember that.
Yeah.
And he said, but now the name is the strong part. And for me, I've always felt akin to that, though my name's not nearly as cool, nor am I as popular as Arnold, nor am I as tough or good looking or successful, but nonetheless, it's just the name represented this like counterculture movement within myself, in which I just hated what was there and I wanted to defeat it. And so this has like been the thing. And now people remember me so well because of how weird my name is. And so it's just like, for whatever reason, it became its own thing. And so that's kind of now I would never change it. And back then I would never change it because it was my Rage Against the Machine moment, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that as a symbol of Rage Against the Machine, and the rage being fun.
Yeah. I just want people to like be creative and have fun again. It's okay.
What about the mustache? It's an epic mustache. It's an epic stash. It has a life of its own.
Yeah.
Is there an origin story, or did you guys discover each other at some point? Or did it emerge from the darkness of the struggle that is your life, or where does it come from?
Well, the original mustache is that it was No Shave November. Back before it became Movember, it was No Shave November back in the day. And after No Shave November, you had all this hair. And so what's the natural thing you got to do? You got to sport a mustache for a day, right? So whenever I'd forget to, not shave for a long time, and then I'd let it start growing out really big, I'd just go, oh, this is kind of funny. I'll have a mustache. And so one day when I was streaming, it's just one of those times I just didn't shave, and then I started just letting it go, and then I got kind of a beard, and then I just had a mustache. And when I did it, people were just like, heck yeah, it's mustache time. And I was just like, heck yeah, it feels like it's like a lifestyle decision, right? It's like, this is the fun times. Yeah. And so all of a sudden it was just like exciting to have a mustache. And I shaved it off, and I was like, oh, okay. But then, part of me is like, there's this weird energy that comes from just having a mustache. So I was like, I'm going back. Told my wife, forgive her. She was very not as thrilled about my decisions to have a mustache long term, but decided to have it back, and it just is. It's just like it was the right thing. It's like it's always been the energy that I had was the mustache. It was always been there. It just never was visible until later on. It feels like.
Yeah, we're chatting offline how one of the components of a successful relationship is sacrifice, and your wife was willing to take the sacrifice of allowing you to have a mustache.
I clearly was not willing to sacrifice not having one, so